Today's lesson is on multiplying polynomials. This is going to be part one of two-part video. So get your pencils and highlighters and different colors and let's get going. So when you multiply polynomials, the way to multiply polynomials is to distribute each term. An acronym that allows you to learn how to distribute is FOIL. FOIL stands for multiplying the first terms, outer terms, inner terms, and last terms. So that's what FOIL is. The first terms in the parentheses, the outer terms of each set of parentheses, the inner terms of each set of parentheses, and the last terms. So let's look at this first example. So we're going to FOIL or distribute this. So the first terms are both x's. So we would write down x times x. Then the outer terms would be the first x and the last 2 because they're on the outside. So that would be x times 2. Then the inner terms. The inner terms are your 3 and your x because they're on the inside. So 3 times x. And then the last terms would be the last terms in each set of parentheses, which would be the 3 and the 2. And then that would be 3 times 2. And what you have effectively done is distributed each term in the first set of parentheses with each term in the second set of parentheses. And now we're going to simplify this. X times x is x squared, plus x times 2 would be plus 2x. Then 3 times x would be 3x. And then 3 times 2 is 6. Now, last step, we're going to combine like terms. We don't have any like terms with our x squared, but we do have the 2x and the 3x, and those are like terms. So we're going to rewrite this and combine those like terms. So x squared and then 2x and 3x gives us 5x plus 6. And we have effectively either FOILed or distributed this example. Okay, why don't you pause this computer and write that example down. Here's our next example. Looks a little bit different. We have a 3 as a coefficient in front of the first x term. So let's walk through this one. Again, we are going to FOIL. So the F stands for the first terms, so 3x times x. The O stands for the outside terms, so 3x times a negative 5. The I stands for the inner terms, so positive 2 times x. And then the L stands for your last terms, or 2 times a negative 5. And now we're going to multiply these out. So 3x times x would be 3x squared. 3x times a negative 5 would be negative 15x. Positive 2 times x would be plus 2x. And then a positive 2 times a negative 5 would be negative 10. Do we have any like terms? If you look in the middle, you see the negative 15x and the positive 2x. Those are like terms. So in our final step, we're going to simplify everything. We have 3x squared, and then negative 13x, and then minus 10. And again, we have effectively multiplied both of these polynomials using the FOIL method or the distributive property. Okay, here are 4 examples. I'd like you to pause the computer and solve these examples. And you'll bring these in tomorrow, and we'll go over the answers. Okay, now for examples 3 and 4. And examples 3 and 4 are a little bit different from the last ones in that we only have one polynomial, one set of parentheses, except you see that right there, that exponent of 2, what that tells us is that you have this. You have x plus 3 times itself, something to the second power. And you're going to do the exact same thing that we just did on the last ones. You're going to FOIL. So FOIL. So we're going to multiply the first terms, and I think I go a little bit quicker here. We get x squared. Then you're going to multiply the outer terms. You get 3x. Then you're going to multiply the inner terms, and you get plus 3x again. And then you're going to multiply the last terms, and you get plus 9. Do we have any like terms? X squared doesn't have a like term. The 3x and the 3x, those both have a single x to the first power, so those are like terms. And then the plus 9, no like terms. So our final answer, when we combine like terms, would be x squared plus 6x plus 9. I'm going to draw a little line down here as we have example 4. And example 4 looks a little bit different than example 3. We still have our second power there. So what that tells us is that it's going to be 5x minus 7 times 5x minus 7. And again, we are going to use the FOIL method, or distribute, and we're going to multiply the 5x times the 5x. Now 5x times 5x would be 25x squared. 5x times a negative 7 would be negative 35x. 5x, or negative 7 times a positive 5x would be negative 35x. And then negative 7 times negative 7 would be positive 49. What are our like terms in there? Well, we have negative 35x and negative 35x. And when you combine them, your final answer should read 25x squared minus 70x plus 49. Okay? So pause this computer, write these down. If you need to go back and rewind the video and watch it again, I went through it a little bit quick, but please make sure that you watch it and kind of understand what is happening. Okay? The last thing that we're going to do, 4 more examples that I would like you to try on your own. And again, use example 3 and 4 to solve these, or to simplify these. You don't solve anything that doesn't have an equal sign. To simplify these expressions and simplify them to lowest terms. Okay? I'll see you tomorrow in class.